Half a year? This man held on to that for 6 months? That mean he gonna kill for you. This is basically making a deal with the devil. Hey crew, do you want to go kill those guys for us? If we're gonna have a demon boyfriend, we might as well get something out of it. Wait, is that how he died? He f***ing tripped going to the titty tree? I was conflicted last week. I'm struck this week. It's either maximum carnage ending, or somehow it all works out. There's no in between. Drop a like, share your support, subscribe if you're new around here, and Patreon's where you catch my full live reactions. So, they did a damn good job at making old imposter Hikaru rootable this week. Like, the only thing that was slightly demonic was the very end when, you know, Yoshiki's like just pouring his heart out of how sad he is, and you see the demon red eyes, you know, if anyone hurts you, I got you. It would be more surprising if this thing doesn't kill for him than if it kills for him. We already know about the whole ritual thing, and I mean, that's probably gonna still continue in terms of revenge of killing people who did the rituals and shit. I don't know. But either way, we saw recently when Hikaru tried to consume Yoshiki in the classroom, right? Like, it'd be one thing if what we saw was only lashing out for those who might be trying to harm him, but this thing has lashed out at Yoshiki himself out of like pure lust and desire and needing to consume. It's like the I want to live under your skin, and it quite literally could do that. So granted, Hikaru is feeling more restrained this episode, but you have to ask yourself the question, what happens when it's pissed off, when it's jealous, when it's hurt, so many different things, or when it's in absolute pleasureville. At the end of the day, this thing is like a child. Like, it's growing up fast, but it essentially started out as an infant with the Hulk level strength. And this isn't the first show I've seen this with, but it is always fascinating when you give something that has the mentality and the understanding of the world of a baby, but it has the ability to Hulk smash. And in a way, it's kind of weird because you ultimately have this love story, right? You had the love story essentially between Yoshiki and Hikaru to begin with. That got removed, and now it's like this addiction, this thing that's maybe the only thing holding him together right now. Despite it being its own thing, he still looks like him. And it's this addiction that he's not going to be able to kick. But it's like, at the same time, it's this twisted parental story too, because in a way, Yoshiki is raising Hikaru, teaching him about the world, and without him guiding him, this thing would probably kill the whole village. It is a twisted story, and as funny as it is to seemingly say that Hikaru died because he saw the titty tree and slipped and bonked his head, I do appreciate that they sprinkled in some emotional where, like, in his dying moments, he's like, I can't leave him alone. He'll be all alone if I'm gone. And seemingly, that desire, the mountain latched onto, and that's why it took over his body. But the fact that he found his body first, knew he was dead. See, that's what's surprising, because the show starts off with him being like, you ain't him. I guess in my head, I assumed maybe it'd been a couple of days, a couple of weeks. I didn't realize it was 6 months. 6 months he was having sleepless nights knowing, I know he was dead, but now he's in front of me. No one will notice the difference, but as someone who is probably in love with the original, I know that isn't him. No wonder he looked so exhausted from the very beginning. This wasn't a sleepless night, this was months of needed to be in a padded room. The thing that they're doing so well is the conflicting feeling of the logical versus the emotional. Logically, this thing is a monster. It's not simply like, oh, misunderstood. This thing has killed. Whether or not old Granny deserved to be killed or not remains to be seen. But this thing does kill. It hunts, and it wants revenge. Whether justifiable or not, that's not how civilized society does things. Not to mention, Even if that's not enough to convince you, it has tried to kill Yoshiki multiple times. This thing will consume him to the point of death. And that's why the addiction analogy, I think, is perfect. On the flip side, this is where the emotional comes in. We are seeing genuine traces of growing up. And if we can guide this thing enough, potentially could exist, will never be Hikaru, will be a new thing, which is why I think that scene of him breaking down and crying and him like trying to leave and him pulling him back, he can't be Hikaru. You can't copy someone's identity, their personality. You could look like them, but you can't be them. But at the same time, he can be someone different. And at the end of the day, there's an argument to be made, had he had a different form, like it didn't look like Hikaru, he might have eventually also leaned on this guy, but the reason he is because he looks like him. And that's not healthy. Between shows like, Kowloon Generic Romance, or The Day Hikaru Died, or Summer Hikaru Died, whatever, those are shows that deal with grief in very different ways, but similar in terms of the idea of unable to move on and process grief. And the idea of being able to process grief is something that's important, and it is what makes us human. And I feel like Yoshiki as a character is abandoning his processing, because instead, it's almost like a breakup, in a way, if you think of it. People who are in long-term relationships, who immediately jump into the next relationship, are not healthy. You're not processing, you're filling the void. So the idea of this kind of being like a breakup, but more of a widowing, he just immediately replaced dead friend, boyfriend with guy who looks like him. So he's never going to be able to truly know, are the feelings he's developing for this imposter genuine, or are they fill-in so he doesn't have to process his grief? It's the things you got to consider when watching this. And that's why I think there's no in-between. There's not going to be a middle ground ending for a manga like this or an anime like this. Either it somehow all works out, praise weird therapy that they go through, or shit's gonna hit the fan and people are gonna die. And to be honest, I think the first big moment will be a family death. I don't think it will be like someone trying to attack Yoshiki. It'll be the sister, the mom, the dad, someone. It will probably be one of the parents, because they're already hinting at that's not a great parental life. And this thing's going to take care of it for him because it thinks that's what he needs. Let me know your thoughts down below. Drop a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new around here. Ring that bell. And Patreon is where you catch my full live reactions and other exclusives like, hey, I give video shoutouts to all my patrons. So today we got Natasha and Henry, Agus TR, Leaf Solmond, Chitin Lord, and we also have Bill. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care. Y'all have a good one.